never bang. All the Mars and cars now, which I bag it up. Light up my card with a sweet one bliss. Someone flicks me a bag it up. So, it's another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full strand, yeah. Oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah.
What's good, people? Welcome into another episode of the Stay Radiant Show, presented to you by iBoxingHub in association with our sponsors, D-Rock Clothing. Ray's rocking the jacket, man's in the wash. But listen, what's going on, Ray, man? How are you?
Out here, no trim. The weather's looking like it's getting a bit sunny again after the rain's been pouring today. But yeah, it's been decent, man. How about yourself?
It's just raining for us. We've been able to have some nice up north proper sun, and now we got the rain. But listen, I'm with you. I can't get a trim right now. I'm waiting. My Eid haircut is booked for next week. My barber's gonna double the price.
Wait. Eid
Next Friday, Saturday. We got one more. We got one more in us.
Alright, cool.
Yeah, we got one more. It is. But yeah, my barber's gonna double the price. But it is what it is. I'll still pay him. I won't tip him because I'm not in America anymore, so I don't need to do that. Just put that out there. I'm just put it out there. I'm not tipping him, but that lovely lady that did do my shape up and everything, she deserved my $8 tip. Very nice woman. All of a sudden, it's given me confidence that women can cut hair. But yeah, we're gonna go straight into what we saw on the weekend. The homecoming for Josh Taylor. And look, by the title, is it time up for the Tartan Tornado? Give me your thoughts on Josh Taylor and just what you saw on Saturday, but also like what you've seen since you became undisputed at 140.
The curse of the boxing ego. Obviously, this is all better said in hindsight, but I think what happened with Josh Taylor is, at the time he won undisputed, great, on our Stay Radiant channel, we done plenty of episodes how I was bigging up Josh Taylor and wondering about how he never got his flowers at during his time. Obviously, he won the belts during the pandemic, but he was what's the word I'm looking for? He was the best British fighter in the world, point blank period. However, he did always mention about how it was hard for him to cut to 140. And so then obviously he had the homecoming fight against Jack Casserole, which I think everyone was just presuming, Jack Carroll would have been given step aside money multiple times so he can go undisputed. And I think Casserole obviously was just like, you know what? Do what you're doing, because that means when we fight, it'll be for undisputed. Obviously, that match ended in a controversial way, which many people thought, including myself, that Carroll was just robbed blindly in front of everyone, disgustingly. And here's where, ironically, with Ra commentating, here's the thing with when Ra, he's got this thing about great boxers are bad losers. And this is where I think it came to bite Josh in the arse. With being a bad loser in a situation where you were, to everyone else, the other fight was clearly robbed. If you are a bad loser, or even in his case, a sore winner, you may not address the faults in that match because you're just thinking to yourself, it was hard fought on my side, but I didn't lose, so I don't care. Instead of being honest and being like, you know what, that actually raised a thing, because the way Josh was talking about it, he was acting like it wasn't even a close decision. So obviously, if that's your mindset, you're going to go into it with like a factor of like, I don't need to change anything up because I won. And I feel like that was Josh's downfall, in the fact that it was like you're approaching your next fights like you didn't lose. And then in addition to that, your ego has made you stay at 140. Because I think this is what's funny. I think subconsciously he knew he had lost that fight. But consciously, it's like he's trying to tell himself, I didn't. But just to prove it to you that I'm good, I will stay at 140. And for me, that was his issue. He shouldn't have stayed at 140. He should have gone to 147 straight away. Because he was still at his older age when he even won the undisputed titles. And I feel like his body was kind of like that point of, yo, we can't keep on cutting to 140, big man. He loses, he wins controversially against Catterall, and then he goes into the Tio fight. Loses against Tio. It wasn't his best performance. He's clearly past his best. He still doesn't want to go to 147 because, rightfully so on Catterall's part, he keeps on calling him out and saying, listen, you still ain't beat me. You didn't deserve to beat me. This, that, and a third. And I got to salute Catterall because he used Josh's ego against him. Because in reality, even after that Tio fight, you should have then said, you know what? Let me go back up to, well, not back up to, but let me go to 147 because my body's clearly losing its powers. He stays at 140, then gets beat by Catterall. Once again, like we've had this discussion with Ra, with there being a thin line between a bad loser and a sore loser. He loses against Catterall more clearly, and he still can't take the fact that he lost. And then is almost like your ego is stopping you from seeing that your body's breaking down, and the time that he's now moved to 147, it's too late. I think like the damage has been done. Your body's past its physical prime. Where your mind has been, there's a healthy level of delusion that boxers have. When on the trajectory going upwards, that healthy delusion helps them win in ways that maybe that goes beyond the physical. The issue is when your body's in the twilight and your body starts declining, that same mentality is your worst enemy, because where you should be thinking to yourself, do you know what? The body can't go like it used to. Your mind is telling yourself, rightly so, don't get me wrong, but your mind's telling your body like, no, we can do this. I still got in the tank. And Saturday, same thing. He stormed out because he thought that he won. And it's just like your mentality, there's this cycle of denial that keeps on beating him before he gets beaten in the ring. And I feel like that's right now. And I don't want to see him fight again.
So this is what I was going to say. So, and I'm going to not fully liken it to Deontay Wilder, but I remember when he lost his first fight and he was like, nah, didn't lose that. You didn't need to throw in the towel, etc.
Yeah.
What it required, and it's going to sound bad, but we've said it before, it required him to get knocked out to then realize, okay, when Zhang knocked him out and stuff, it made me, oh, okay. And he took a genuine step back, even though he's supposedly coming back in June. With Josh, look, I've got no problem, and this is where with him being a bad loser, because I'm okay with it, because he at the end of the day he's a professional athlete, and you want to continue to strive for it. You then have to have people around you, because you can have your own concept of being who you are, but it then has to be, for me, people around you that may need to give you that reality check. Like, listen, mate, you might need to step back. You might need to understand that you aren't what you think you are anymore, and you've lost fights that you believe still probably that you've won. Because when that decision was called out, outside of the Teofimo Lopez one, Josh Taylor's face was like, "Oh, what do you mean? How have I lost this?" Like, if you look at his reaction, he's like, "I haven't lost this fight, have I?" And one thing that disappointed me in that fight, funny enough, was his corner, because his corner was giving instructions to say, "Look, Esserman needs these rounds. You're good." And it was completely the other way. Like, I don't know if they're yes men in his corner or what it is, but there wasn't a genuine clear of instructions. There was sometimes during the fight where they were breaking down what he needs to do, which was fine. But I think that overall motivational factor to let him know that he could potentially be on the cards, or the tide is actually turning, was never thrown to him. It was always a case of do this, do that. But remember, he needs the rounds more than you. He needs the rounds more than you. And I think when you're a delusional fighter like Josh kind of is, and that's not in a bad way, just how he is, your corner has to also give you a sense of reality. And I felt like they kind of let him down. But for me, I don't know what it was. And I've been a jinx when it was the Dave Allen fight. But also, I'm going to give myself credit. After the 6th round, I just turned around and said, Josh is going to lose this. Something happened where he tried to slip in for a jab and it looked awkward. And it just looked like his legs gave way. And if you look that second half of the fight, there was not a single round, You may give one out of pity, but that's one of them pity rounds that sometimes people give. But realistically, there was not a single round that Josh Taylor won. And credit to Esserman. Like, he's got the nickname The Engine. He did what he did, and he delivered. But before I just talk about him, I'm going to bring it up because we'll talk a little bit about Harlem and Jack. Are we going down a potential road where we do get a trilogy? Financially, I don't know what it is. It would work. Like, people would still
No,
want to care for it to a point. I do think the core value of it and the the disdain between both guys is still there. Jack Cattrall, funny enough, coming out on Twitter, dropping a little cheeky message in. I'm guessing Jack was probably asked about it at today's press conference as well, with the media as well. Is there a chance we get a 147 trilogy?
the only way that could potentially happen is if there's multiple things. They would both have to accept that they're going to be on the undercard of someone else's card. They're not headlining no more.
So Saudi show there.
No, I don't. Saudi where? No, you are going to be on undercard of a UK card. There's not going to be. They're not.
Oh no,
headlining no more.
sorry. What I meant by that is, being on a Ring Magazine UK type of card.
Oh yeah.
That's what I remember. I don't see.
Potentially.
That fight makes no sense in Saudi, but it makes a lot of sense.
That
Like you
fight,
said,
I don't.
there.
If in a world where Catterall loses, then maybe it might just be like a nice both of them. Just like, you know what, our names are tied together. Let's just do this at 147 because no disrespect to Catterall, he's in dangerous territory because he's not the biggest name. And I would wish him the best, but he's not the biggest name. So if he loses to Harlem, it's almost that case of, I hope you got good investments because you're just going to have to fight to basically, your mercenary settings, you're just fighting to take a fight. It might not be for a belt or anything. So I think with Catterall, just be him first, Josh Taylor would just be a nice way, give Josh Taylor a farewell fight. I don't know if Josh Taylor ever retires on his own accord. It might just be a case of he just keeps on getting beat and then the promoters drop him and then he finally realizes, okay, maybe it's time to walk away. But that's different from realizing yourself like, I'm done. But it'll be hard because I can't imagine a lot of these fights, it's like, it's all you've done for more than half of your life. And then you get that strange point of like, do I still got it?
Hey, listen, this is why I kind of like Errol Spence Jr. He's never said he's retired, but he understood the fight that he had. He understood probably what happened prior to it. And behind closed doors, 100% he's had the conversation with family, friends, team. It's like, I don't need to officially say I'm retired, but I can just put myself away. If an opportunity came up where, hey, listen, the money's good, fine.
Listen, man.
We can talk about Manny Pacquiao a little bit as well, because he came out with the money.
Listen. And Pacquiao should get packed out. I can't. If Barrios doesn't pack out Pacquiao, he needs to retire. This should be. I'm sorry. This should be a slam dunk for Barrios. This should be thanks for the name recognition, big man. But I'm gonna have to put Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair at WrestleMania, where he said, then he did the Sweet Chin Music. Yeah, the same way he needs to. Like Barrios needs to do that to Pacquiao. Be like, I'm sorry, wham. Like there should be no crumbs left. Like get him out of here for his own good. As for Spence, I would like to think that he's been, from interviews that I've seen of him, I like to think that he's been financially responsible. And I know he had a epiphany before, it was either before or after the crash, where he was just like, he used to do the city boy lifestyle, was just doing it, living it large. You know how it goes sometimes. And then he was just like, I just sold a lot of stuff and I bought a farm. And he was just like, yeah, I'm on a farm with different animals, I harvest, this, that, and the third. So I'd like to hope and think that he's good financially. So with Spence, he looks healthy. He's not cutting down to 147, which he should have moved up a long time ago. But with the inactivity, I don't want to see him fight again. I don't care how. Listen, and I'm a Spence fan. I don't want to see you fight again, especially knowing him. His mentality was always, I don't do, which we loved him for, which was, I don't do tune-up fights. I'm a champion. I'll go in there and fight the best. But I feel like someone with him, his body has been through the, like, just doing boxing alone, your body's been through the ringer. From the lifestyle you had before of not, always staying in shape in between camps to multiple car crashes and thankfully surviving. And I just feel like, your body's been through it. No
Do you know
need
what?
to go through it again. Especially, it's nearly coming to what, 2 years since
Yeah.
the fight with Crawford. Take the L out of lover is over, brother.
Yeah,
Like,
that's cool. It's like Josh Taylor's lifestyle. If you think about it, everyone knows he likes to drink.
yeah,
So it's gonna get on you eventually. But
yeah,
obviously
for sure.
Spence
It catches up to you.
yeah, it catches up and Spence obviously with the accident. But like I said, I like the way Spence has been going about everything post Terence Crawford. It's like I'm not telling you if I'm retired, I'm just enjoying everything. I don't need to make and then when he does come out officially and release that statement, I think compared to other fighters, it is a statement, and we're going to just probably accept it and understand. Cool, he's retired, and then we'll see him on broadcast talking about stuff. Because I think naturally, I think he'd be pretty
Who,
decent on it.
Spence or
Yeah,
Taylor?
Spence.
I think depending on how he is with his money, I think if he's been good with his money, I don't think we'll see him again. Or
Okay.
at most, we will see him ringside like he does now. Sometimes he just ringside cheering on his fighters and then he keeps it moving. I know he manages just a handful because I think he understands like managing fighters is takes a lot. So I think he manages a handful of fighters, but I can't see him. I hope he stays. He seems like he's got a good lifestyle going for him. Hopefully he's got good investments. I know obviously he's an Al Heyman guy, so I'd like to hope that Al Heyman's helped him like sort himself out for post fighting. I remember he used to comment that a lot. A lot of Al Heyman guys have said that, like Al Heyman helps them like financially plan
He's the
after.
opposite of Oscar De La Hoya. He doesn't screw you over. He may not put you in the ring as much, and people may get frustrated by it, but he will not screw you.
You said it, innit? I didn't say it.
It's true. Like my favorite
I
fighter does
agree in
screw.
it, but I didn't say I didn't say it. This
There's
is
a
interesting.
reason. Listen, there's a reason why they all move away.
That's true. I was gonna say interesting comment from Bra where he goes, does JT fight Ben next? Which is nasty work, and at the same time, I'm here for it.
Talking.
I'm only here for it only because if Ben gets Taylor out of there, it might just be the reality wake-up call that Taylor needs to just be like, it's done. And I can only hope, once again, I can only hope Taylor's been sensible with his money and diversified his portfolio because he's coming at the end of his career. But sometimes I don't like when I see fighters. Sometimes I've spoken about it before. I don't like seeing fighters mismatched. But there's a difference between if you're a Chisora, where it's just like the belt's not really the belt's not really his aim. He's just there to get paid.
Hey,
And get the
no.
biggest.
550. He's not getting.
Oh no,
paid.
but I'm saying it's not.
Yeah.
It hasn't been his. If it's there,
Well, he was the test runner. Like if you became a heavyweight, you moved up from light heavyweight from cruiserweight. Who's the first guy you're probably going to put in as a resume name? Derek Chisora.
No, but even that I don't even remember. That was him up to the Usyk fight, and after the Usyk fight, it was just a matter of, Fury fight aside, where Fury's just basically doing a favor for a mate. Is like he faced Joe Joyce. He faced what's the lefty that he just beat in his last fight?
Oh God, I should remember because I was there.
This is gonna annoy me, but anywho,
Otto Wallin.
But you know what I'm saying? He was taking fights where it's just like, this is just it's mercenary saying, I'm just here for a check. Let me just get me a good healthy check, and I'm gonna put on fun, exciting fight. Whereas Josh Taylor, he gives me the vibe of, and it must be hard, especially if it's like to know that I was undisputed. He's still chasing that gold. So sometimes if it is that you're still chasing that gold, sometimes you need someone who shouldn't be your level to put you down. Just so it gives you that reality check of, big man, you're not where you used to be. And sorry to that man, but sometimes some people need that strong outperformance for them to finally be like, all right, cool. I think that's the issue with Taylor. He'll lose
It's like I said,
decisively enough.
someone might need to knock him out.
Yeah, he will lose decisively enough, but not enough for him to deny it mentally. Where I think he just needs a loss where it's just like, yo, there's no excuses. I just got my ass handed to me.
Yeah,
And
I want to
Ben
talk
might
about.
be a good springboard for that.
I'm going to talk about Ben and like all that little bit soon, but just quickly on Esserman as well. Like, look, he came in, and people were like, "Yeah, you're here, but everything is built around Josh Taylor. You're here to do a job," and he came and he did a job, especially in the second half of the fight. For him, obviously, now he's got a name on his resume of high value. Where does 147 look for him right now? Because obviously, if you look at the title picture, I think I'll put it out there. They'll put Barrios with Pacquiao because there's nobody of value at 147 outside of Boots. And they're like, screw it, we're going to put this on. And guess what? It's going to hit the American audience. Why? Because Pacquiao's there and it's going to work and we can sell
I
it.
don't even know if that's going to hit the audience like they think it's going to hit.
It's Manny Pacquiao. But also, what
I
it does
don't. We're putting too much value on Pacquiao.
It doesn't legitimize Barrios, but what it does is when you strip away and then 10 years down the line or
It's just
whatever.
a Hall of Fame name on the
it's Hall of Fame name on the resume. Norman's, they are what they are at this moment in time. Like, where does he look? Because I know this is going to sound bad. Even though you beat Josh Taylor, and Josh Taylor is a name, maybe your name still isn't big enough for people to care, if that makes sense.
It's not. Not in a horrible way. It's not, because at the end of the day, unfortunately, Josh Taylor built his name at 140. He didn't build at 147. So Echo still needs to do a bit more to climb up the ranks, but he's doing the right thing of, you've got a vet that's a good name under your belt. So like maybe.
But the funny thing is, if I'm not wrong, he's older than Josh.
Yeah, but
in
terms of boxing years, it's like, you know, one's had longer amateur and extensive pro career, whereas Echo, I'm not too sure how late he started, but it's clear that he didn't have the same mileage as Josh. Do you get what I'm saying? So sometimes you have those fighters that are older in age because they didn't have as much mileage. So I hope he gets a world title shot. You know, Frank should be the guy to make it happen. I don't know if Norman ducks Boots again, they might do Norman versus Echo, and in that case, I'm going on Echo's side. But that landscape for 147 isn't the greatest. It's a bit dry right now. But all the best to Echo, and I hope that he gets his title shot. So I'll be honest, I'm not gonna act like I know the most of like the contenders at 147. I just obviously know the champions, but it's a barren land right now.
Yeah, that's what it's not the 147 of. Let's be honest, when the Floyds were there, with the Amir Khans were there, etc.
Oh no, but that's even over a decade ago.
But that's what I mean. Like, if you
even remember we've just come off the generation of Crawford and Errol Spence. Like,
it's just one of them divisions. But to be fair, I'll give you credit. You do say this, when certain people leave in boxing, the guys next are not there to replace them. 147 is that division where realistically no one's there to replace what we had 10, 12, 13 years ago or 4 or 5 years ago. There's nobody realistically there. But yeah, like you said, credit to him. He came, did a job, and hopefully he gets the push on that he deserves. I'll switch to, we'll leave Catrell and Eubank, Harlem Eubank for a second, but Delicious Ori. Nice name. Horrendous performance in your first fight. Thank you for realizing that, you know, boxing isn't for you, if I'm honest with you. And I hope because I believe it was on the Chisora undercard where he made his debut.
All I remember was a Queensbury card.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this now, because I was there and it's got to be that, because I feel like that's the only one I've done. And Frank didn't look happy.
Yeah.
The crowd booed. And he got the job done and left. And my point being is, as much as he's retired and he's looking for another avenue and he's doing whatever he's doing, I'm telling you right now, Frank Warren is happy. That is like, Okay.
Damn it, man.
I signed this guy. I put him in on a Chisora undercard, I believe, in front of Manchester, and they booed him. Because if you think about it, right, when you got fighters like him, they're not gonna wait. Like, how long Chisora not fought for? If your first fight was on that undercard, you're gonna be out there. But now you probably should have been on this Ipswich card that's coming up with Wardley, or even this Josh Taylor card or whatever. Do you get what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
just slot yourself in, and you're nowhere to be seen. So fair play to him for realizing that. But honestly, I think Frank Warren is genuinely at Queensbury HQ right now, just relieved that he doesn't
Listen,
have,
man.
because there isn't nothing that could work with him right now.
Forget about Frank Warren.
Yeah.
I like the statement that he's done in terms of, listen, the guy is just honest with himself in a way that's been refreshing, that I haven't seen in a long time from certain professionals, where it's just like, I think I saw him say something along the lines of, he knew the fire was fading. He thought that going pro would maybe like ignite something in him that's not been there for a while. And then he done the fight and he realized, nah, this ain't me. Still young enough to know better. Still young enough to go into the corporate world. I think he said finish up on his degree. I know that there's some African aunties and uncles that's heard him say that, and that's absolutely elated for him right now. And I'm so happy for him. I hope he uses boxing as a vehicle to keep himself, just healthy and it's a good lifestyle. But yeah,
And
like
you know what?
go into the corporate world and be great, because he's still an Olympian. He's still done what he's done, on the amateur side of things. And yeah, like he should be congratulated on this, making the right decision sooner rather than, get a beating and then next thing you know.
Not even a beating. I just think getting through 3, 4, 5, 6 fights where people stop caring about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fair enough to him. And like I always say, look, if you fail as an official pro, there's always misfits down the line. Because he ain't going nowhere anyway. So
Nah, he doesn't give me. Do you know what? I like the misfit route for some, but he doesn't give me the misfit route of. He doesn't seem to have that personality of like. I feel like the misfits is there, but you still need a certain personality to shine in misfits. I don't think misfits is just a given of, you're a former pro, get in there. I still feel like with misfits, you still need a bit too, and I don't know if he's got that character.
I'll be honest with you. Like, I like the guy. I don't think he's got a lot of character, and that's Ty Mitchell, right? So he doesn't have character or a person, but there's a story behind it. Delicious is the same to a point, in the sense that if he goes off, does whatever he needs to do, if that availability is still there 6, 7, 8 years down the line, they will open a gateway for him.
Stay away from it. Use as a vehicle to stay healthy and go.
He's not getting knocked out in misfits.
It's not.
And if he
does,
does,
it's not that.
If he does,
it's just more like.
Then the amateur scene stinks, and the Olympic scene was even worse.
It's not even just that. It's just like, listen, man. You've done what you've done amateur-wise. Go and enjoy. I think he's got like a degree in economics. Listen, man, go be great in your field, and you can go and tell all your people in the, the corporate sector, watch how you speak to me, because I'll bang you out. Have a laugh about it, even though they know that it's true, and then just be great there. And listen, and like I said, you're still an Olympian, so you can still go there. You can still use that as a way to, I don't know, leverage it in any way that you can. He's obviously got, like, I think he got Commonwealth Games gold, European champion, English national champion. Like, there's a way you can maneuver your amateur career to help you, guide you in your corporate world. And I think, yeah, that's just best for him, man. Just go out there, do what you need to do, find your route in that world, and leave boxing where it is, man. You clearly, and I like the fact that it's, especially for someone that's so accomplished on an amateur level, you clearly see that this ain't for you. So just drop it out completely and just use it as a vehicle for keeping health and a lifestyle.
one guy that it is for, and listen, Moses Atuma, second round knockout. There's not much to say about the fight, but I want to just go over where you think he is right now. Like I always said, we don't need to overly rush, but at this point, honestly, if Frank's looking at it, you got Daniel Dubois who's fighting for a world title. Tyson Fury still retired officially, regardless of what people think. This man here is, I'm not saying primed, but he's ready to get a genuine big name. But I've said this before, if it's going to be a big name, it can't be a big name that has a skill set, if that makes sense. It's like a Hergovic, he's a bit more slicker and stuff, so he moves around. You need a big-ish name. I personally don't rate Zhile Zhang, if I'm very honest. I don't.
I think that's too. Do you know? I think he's Moses is at a point where I think the best thing for him right now, you need a fighter that has high IQ, but then hasn't got the ability to hurt you. Because the dangerous.
To a point, yeah.
Maybe, do you know what Hergovic might be? I don't know. Maybe Hergovic hasn't got the punching power to hurt him, but I think that's what he needs. He needs someone that will take him into deep waters purely from, like you just have crafty guys that just know how to roll the punches and avoid knockouts and it bring you into deep waters. They're not going to hurt you, but they'll bring you into deep waters and they will catch you if you're not too,
But that's also my worry that if it exposes you to that, it can go in a bad way.
But that's what I'm saying. You need that now, because imagine what you don't want is to face someone that's crafty and can hurt you at the top level, because then you're screwed. Then you're in a case of you haven't had experience against someone that can take you into deep waters, because all these fights keep on ending early. And it's like you need to develop your ring IQ against someone who's just as crafty, but they're past it, they can't damage you. So it's almost like you're there. It's like an intense sparring session with. I've been there. I've been at when I've been training and I've sparred with the young boys, and it's like they've got all the power and explosiveness on their side, but it's like I know how to roll the punches. I know how to just be efficient with my output, and then I get a good sparring with them, and then obviously I'm a bit older, and then they'll be surprised that I kept up, and I'm just like. I'll be honest with you, I'm not using as much energy as you are. You're going in there trying to blast this punch, blast that kick. And I'm just there I can stay in the pocket. I know how to stay calm, take some damage and then give it back. Do you get what I'm saying? And obviously that's just sparring, but I'm using that as an analogy in terms of Moses needs that someone in there that can push him IQ-wise without hurting him as physically. Because I remember Mayweather always said one of his most difficult opponents was, I always forget his surname. His first name was Augustus, and they called him he had a drunken master style. And then I remember Mayweather used to say it was so puzzling fighting that guy, and his record is more deceiving than it showed. He had a lot of losses, but it was just that's one of the trickier guys he's ever faced. And you need people like that so that when you do get to the top level, look at, for example, AJ versus Ruiz, for example. That's Ruiz looked like a guy that AJ probably knocked out 1,000 times. And then AJ went in there, he knocked him down the first time. And then the second time, it's you couldn't get the knockdown. And then now you're in a fight where
it's awkward.
It's awkward. You punched this guy so many times, and normally this punch knocks them out, and it didn't. And then now you're in there with arms tired. And unfortunately for AJ, he was with a guy that can punch back. Whereas with Moses, if you put him in a similar fight with someone with high IQ that you can't just drop all the time, it's better to be in there with someone that's not as venomous back than to finally realize that at the top level, and then you're just another starlet that got beat, and then they dash you to the side like they've done with many other people, which is a nasty side effect of this sport, but it is what it is.
I don't think Frank would dash him because I think he understands the value behind him. But I do think as well, if he went up that next level and there's two losses in a row and stuff like that, people start asking a little bit more questions about it.
We saw how it was with Dubois. Yeah. Everyone loves Dubois now, but I still don't. These people don't think I've forgotten how you lot treated Dubois after that Joe Joyce. I still remember. I
No, but that's
absolutely
the thing.
still remember.
But it's also, I guess, one of them things where people now use it. I'm like, hey, listen, fair enough. Like it's a good turnaround story kind of thing. Like this man was originally a
Nah,
boxer because he's been
these
through the ringer.
people are fickle.
He was on a Don King show in a bingo hall. He's been through it all. I don't know how. Looking back at it, how did that even happen? But yeah, I get your point. I just think for me, they will probably go with another big-ish name or a name value fighter that doesn't offer a lot in terms of movement.
Yeah,
For
maybe
me,
Hergovich might be the best one. Obviously,
mm,
I'm sure he's probably hearing these murmurs and thinking, right, don't talk my name like that. But maybe Hergovich, if they don't deem him as someone that can hurt him physically, then that might be the right guy to put him in there because he's got enough experience to be crafty, to ride out the early rounds, and then we can see how a
what you're
town war
about.
is. Yeah.
One final thing: the kickoff press conference was today, and that was Jack Catterall and Harlem Eubank. Now, I saw a video on Talksport, and Simon Jordan basically said, "Listen, this is a money grab." Like he said to Sam Jones, this is basically like a money grab fight. Like, what value does it give to Jack Catterall? Like, please explain to me what value it gives. And I think Sam just basically said, look, at the end of the day, it's a Eubank name. It's a great fight for him at 147. It lets us test the waters and see where we're at with that. And he kind of said, look, you can still fight at 140, you can still fight at 147.
Mhm.
Look, I get it. You're in limbo at this point. Um, you don't know where to go at 140 because you don't want to work too much. And then once you're in the middle of it, you need a fight. And Harlem Eubank, I'll be honest with you, from the fights that I've watched, I don't want to sound horrible, but this
Mm.
should be 12 rounds where Jack Catterall just has fun and is able to win this fight quite easily. But you're shaking your head.
It's not going to be a fun fight. We know that.
Oh no, it's not.
I was just more upset because I like both the guys. I like you. Well, it's been documented on here. I'm a big Catterall guy. I just like the fact that he gets it done. And as for Eubank, the Ben fight was right there. Why is he fight? I don't know. Maybe Eubank sees as an opportunity that if I beat Catterall, then that's a significant enough win to call out Ben. Because that's the fight. Like, Connor should go back down to 147 and Harlem Eubank should be the fight. And I'd hope so, but this Catterall versus Eubank, this goes back to what I was saying earlier on about Chisora just being a mercenary. I think that's what this is for Catterall. Yo, I'm just here to get paid. Like all these people like Simon Jordan, that wanker, that pretentious prick, just like talking about, oh, I don't understand why you're doing this. Brother, he's a prize fighter. Go get paid. That's what I just think this is. Carroll's just like, go get paid. Harlem Eubank will bring a few more eyes than if he was to face some other no-names from Europe or the UK. So yeah, why not just face Harlem Eubank? Get a few eyes on me. If I look good, then maybe back to the world title shot. If not, then mercenary settings. Just put me on undercards to beat these guys, get paid, and invest it in somewhere worthwhile.
For me,
Simple
honestly, I
as.
look at it like it's it's a poorer situation with Jack Catterall if he loses. If Harlem Eubank loses, like I said, the Conor Ben fight personally for me is still there. Like I
Yeah.
think because of the names, it always be that. But the pressure's on Jack. I don't know where his future is. I am funny enough more leaning towards 147. Where he goes going forward. I don't think the only reason I look at 140 is if that fight with Dalton Smith is there. Personally,
I think Catterall's in that weird space where he's good enough that people avoid him, but he hasn't got the
money name. He's got a
he,
name. He's got a British name.
he hasn't got the money name or he hasn't got the following to like. And I don't know 147. I don't know if he's if it's gonna suit him just in terms of like. You're going to go up there. I don't know if he's going to all of a sudden develop power to make damage to people at 147. So if you're just going to carry on doing the same thing you're at 140, 147 ain't exactly the money division for him to be getting interesting fights. But He might also want. I'd actually know. There's no way Hearn will ever put him against Ben. He's way too crafty for Ben. As skill wise, he matches well against Ben. So I just think he's just on, yo, get me in there, let me fight, and then I don't know, put that money into housing or something. I think that's just where he's at. If it's not world title fights, it's just like, yo, just get me paid a decent amount and then go from there.
I'll be honest, that it would be a shame, just quickly before we wrap up, if Jack Catterall never becomes a world champion. Like, you just think how he is the definition of the needy man in boxing. For me,
unfortunately for him, that window might be closed. That window might be closed, and there's a small chance, and that's where Eddie Hearn would have to work his magic. But I honestly presume the window's closed now, and it's just a matter of go get paid and just go on from there. But we'll have to wait and see.
I was going to say, guys, listen, we're going to wrap up today's episode of the Stay Waiting Show. Obviously, the guys are coming back at 9 o'clock from iBoxingHub North. Technically, I'm part of it, but I'm not. I don't know where Rico's managed to say that I'm down south. I'm not once. The only thing I'd say is, Chelsea, we are Champions League. Shout out to my football club. We did it the hard way.
That is, I can't believe you've done that, but go on. That is horrible. I hope Betis wins on Wednesday.
Listen, the only club ever to do it where we don't have a player over the age of 27. It was the hard way. No matter what people tell you, we worked hard for that. But listen, Ray, I'm going to give you the final word before we wrap up.
Like, subscribe, comment, iBoxingHub. Stay waiting, stay tuned in, and we're out.
Peace.
It's another bang. All the Muslim cars now, with your bag it up. Light up my card with a sweet one bliss. Someone flicks me a bag it up. So, it's another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full strand, yeah. Oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah.